Welcome to a new episode of Casual Magic, a series of videos in which my daughter Amelia and I talk about Magic the Gathering products, and we compare our very different perspectives. She is a 7-year-old that just discovered the game, and I'm a 41-year-old that is coming back to the game after a very long hiatus, after more than 20 years of not playing the game. In this video, we'll tell you about Vraska and Angrath Walker's decks. These are pretty much decks that are fun to play with. You may be an accomplished player and decide to add them to your collection, but also they can be used as a starter sets. And so we decided to play with these two decks, and we wanted to play them as they were, just to give you then to be able to report to you what happens, how the deck plays if you just buy the deck and play it as is out of the box. However, after a couple of plays, I could not resist, because I mainly play with Vraska, and I started changing things around. If nothing else, because Vraska kept losing. Angrath, we made basically no changes, no alterations. Angrath, as it was out of the box, was really strong. Vraska didn't stand a chance, so I started altering things. But I'll show you both the cards that were originally there and the cards that we added to the deck. As of Angrath, it should pretty much be what you see in the video, pretty much see what you find in the box. By the way, I have to tell you, although she needed a little more work, both very fun, really fun decks. Vraska, a Gorgon that uses white and black magic and controls a horde of vampires. Vampires are fun to use in general. They have lifelink, a lot of them, which means they will let you recover health, or in any case gain health when they take it from others. They fly, a lot of them. They have a lot of fun effects, and just thematically I like vampires, and I like the white and black combination of effects. Now, I like the fact that these boxes are larger than you need them if you don't sleeve cards, and Amelia and I do not sleeve our cards. That means that inside the box I can place the main deck and then a bunch of cards that I may decide at the last minute to add to the main deck. I like that I have the deck and some variants right there. And in here, pretty much I place the cards from the original deck that I moved out of, that I'm not using, and some of the cards that are not in the original deck, but I may decide to use at some point. For example, Vraska, the Vampire Queen, has the Vampire Knight as one of her followers. This you find in the Vraska deck. Yes, pretty cheap for a 3/3 character, but once he goes there and gives a hit to the opponent, he's so tired, does not untap. You have to gain life to untap him. Can be very good, but because a lot of other vampires do have abilities that make you gain life, but can also be very situational. So not my favorite character, which is probably why it's in here instead of in the main deck. Another character, this one is a good one, is a good cheap flyer. I simply moved out of the deck because it plays better flying vampires, but pretty good otherwise. He has flying and also gets +1/+1 by spending some energy, some mana. This is a guy that, again, could be useful, but like the Famish Paladin, pretty situational, because it's only a 1/1, so he'll go down easy, just there to block an enemy, possibly one that doesn't have trample. You can play cheaply, but also when he enters the battlefield, you draw a card, yay, and use a life, not so yay. So, I don't know, they're just other game effects that let me draw cards without having to lose a life. So when if I can, I'll use those instead. You get 2 artifact creatures, golems. I like the fact it's a starter deck, so maybe this can be picked up by a player that never played Magic at all, so they get a sense of the artifacts that don't require any specific combination, and they're just your serviceable generic attacker. Then we have another flying vampire, pretty strong. And also, again, this is still in the original deck. Inspiring vampire, inspiring cleric. you gain life. Doesn't hurt, especially if you have this annoying guy here that is draining your own health. What kind of friend are you? What kind of ally are you? There are 2 in the original deck. I took one out because I replaced that effect with other effects. And here we have some cards that do not belong to the original deck. I added them. This one I like very much. Just a quick digression. I'll show you the Skeleton Vampire. If you have him, just add into Vampire or Skeleton decks because he flies. He makes more bats, and then he can sacrifice the bats to regenerate himself or to make more bats. He's the vampire that keeps giving. And then other things that I find desirable in a vampire deck. Feel free to pause and see what they are. Anyways, as for the deck itself, remember, you'll see some cards that do not belong, but pretty much is this deck minus some cards plus these ones. I'm sure that you are a viewer of great imagination and will be able to figure out what that means. Again, we had the Vampire Soldier, this, another Flying Vampire. I added some special lands because of white and black. We won those. Vraska's Conquistador. Yes, this is from the Vraska set as it comes out of the box. With attacks of blocks, gives extra damage and makes you gain life if you also control Vraska at that point. So a little bit situational, but still decent even when she's not there. Moment of Triumph, +2/+2, and you gain life. The other Conquistador, number 2, Arterial Flow, Flying Vampires, always good. This is important, Vraska Scorn, because it lets us call Vraska. On top of hitting the opponent fairly hard, then you may search your library and or graveyard to get Vraska. Where is she? I'm sure you're excited to see her. Pretty sure I added this one. This is good. Vraska is still hiding in there. She wants to create a little bit of suspense. Death Touch. My daughter Amelia didn't like it at all when I showed her what Death Touch does, because it does exactly what you think it does. It kills the opponent that it touches, even if otherwise the character would not generate enough damage to kill the opponent. This Lieutenant, very good if you have a deck full of vampires, and I think all of the creatures in this deck are vampires because they get a bonus here. Deathless Ancient, Flying, and also this other effect here that lets you return the Ancient from the graveyard to your hand. Queen's Bay Soldier, standard and remarkable vampire. Now let's look for Vraska herself. Boy, she's hiding very well. This I added, I'm pretty sure it was not in the original thing. The Blood Witch I loved, not in the original Vraska set. The heck? Did she gain stealth? Did she leave the deck? Am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? Oh, there she is, in all of her foil shiny glory. What'd she do? With a +1 by adding 2 tokens when you activate one of her abilities, each turn you can activate one. The creatures you control get +1/+0. If the Legion Lieutenant is there or the effects are there, all of those vampires become pretty tough. You destroy a target creature just like that. The opponent took a lot of pain to bring in some gigantic behemoth. She sacrifices 3 tokens and the target creature is out of there. And then you have one of those auto-win conditions, which I don't like all that much. If you're able to spend 10 tokens and then one of your creatures damages the opponent, then you win the game. Because I'm okay. Usually I don't like that you win the game automatically, but if you look at it, it's interesting because you cannot do it immediately. The opponent may reduce your tokens to prevent you from doing so, and then you still have to wait for an opening because maybe you have enough tokens to spend, but the opponent has very good defense as you spend the tokens and the opponent prevents the damage. So there is interesting. It's interesting. I like the art, and in general, I like her. Again, I wish that the deck as it was could stand its own against Angrath, and unless I played Vraska's Ron, that was not the case. Angrath is also a fun deck, and one that my daughter did not feel any need to change. She played it without changing anything. Maybe when she wasn't looking, I added some special lands so that she'd be happy and the deck would be stronger. But other than that, it's a very powerful deck. Black and red deck, pretty much a crazy, grumpy Minotaur leading a bunch of pirates. Orc Pirate, yes, not too easy to bring to the fore, but pretty good. And like the other Vampire Dude guy makes people of his type stronger, but with a +2, even better than the Vampire Lieutenant. Angrath himself, see, he ain't hiding. He wants to come out and show you how awesome he is and how mad he looks. By adding 2 tokens, he deals 1 damage to target opponent in each creature that players controls. It weeds out all of those 1/1, 2/1 enemy target characters. You return a target pirate card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Very good to resurrect the people. And then, I think Amelia will explain this later in the conclusions, but you can read it. It's pretty nasty because it steals creatures and then he uses them against the previous controller. Let's take a look at some other cards. Swaggering Corsair. You can... I'll leave it to you to read the effects because Amelia will expound most of them in the conclusions, so I don't want to say the same things too many times. So you can see the Gilded Sentinel that is shared by both Vraska and Angrath. Little cute goblin pirates. Goblins have the right to try to become pirates too. Just a nice extra instant bonus. Very nice attack that Amelia loves to use to take down my flyers because Vraska has a lot of flyers and Angrath doesn't. But he has a lot of effects that can kill people in the sky, so there is that balancing mechanism there. Brutal, nasty, pirate-themed deck. So right there, if nothing else, for another reason, definitely a deck that has a lot of reasons to attract players. Just the theme is fun. The effects are brutal, direct, simple. Yes, indeed, this is a deck that my 7-year-old daughter was perfectly able to use out of the box without having to worry about anything and just doing a lot of damage. The only element that requires a little bit of finesse is the raid. The pirates have a lot of raid effects which trigger if your creatures dealt damage that turn. So basically you play your cards, you attack, and if you deal damage, then when you play raid cards later in the same turn, then you get that extra effect. For example, here you have this, and this is how the general idea works. Angrath also has his own card that lets the player call him somewhere from the deck. But that's the general idea. Angrath versus Vraska. Vampire Queen versus Minotaur Pirate Leader. Now, without further ado, let's see what Amelia has to say about these two decks. And now for the conclusions, I'm here with a special guest, a dog. Hey dog!
Hello!
Ah, it wasn't a dog. Ah, surprises. This girl is full of surprises.
Hello!
And we also have a minion. Now, back to business, minion, dog, and Cthulhu impersonator. So we're gonna talk about Angrath and Vraska. So you are the Angrath expert. She mainly played with Angrath. You played Vraska once, but you really like this deck. So why don't you tell our viewers about some of your favorite cards and what you like about those cards and the deck in general.
Angrath's Fury is a really good card.
If you give it to me, I can show it to them while you discuss it. You discuss what you like it.
I can read you
Hey, not really. Do you remember what it does?
Destroy your target creature.
Which is
Angrath's
tough enough.
Fury deals 3 damage to a target player. You may search your library or graveyard for a card named Angrath.
Yes. So Angrath, that's in, and there's
And then there's
just little details about what you do at that point. But basically, it's a card that summons your planeswalker after it destroys an enemy.
And also, if it was in your library, shuffle your deck.
Yeah. So it destroys one of your creatures. It deals 3 damage to you and summons the planeswalker. It's a very powerful card. The fact that you can destroy somebody just like that, a target creature just like that, is important because Vraska has several flyers and
life linkers.
And I added even more flyers. So Angrath needs some of these effects that just zap the enemies out of the sky because Angrath doesn't have many flyers, if any. But he has enough effects that can do that, so that's good. As for Angrath himself, so maybe use this effect to take down a flyer that the opponent has, and then Angrath shows up. He's very angry, hence the name. What does Angrath do?
This is his +2 effect.
So when you add 2 tokens,
Angrath, Mind Pirate, deals 1 damage to a target opponent, and each creature that player controls. So if there's many ones that are 1 and 1, just use this effect, get 2 tokens for Angrath and kill them.
Exactly, like it's at 1 point, but you have a lot of those weak creatures that the opponent is using for defense. Those are gone. But the next effect, when you spend 3 tokens, that is really tough for the opponent. It's good for the person who plays
Return
with
a
them.
target pirate from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Not the hand. So that is good. So all of those nasty pirates that you fight to defeat are gonna come back all the time when Angrath is around. A Minotaur leading pirates, that is a funny combo, don't you think? So what do you think? Yeah.
Then, this is one that none of us have used just because it's 11.
Yeah.
Destroy all creatures, target opponent.
A little higher so they can see your face.
A target opponent controls. Angrath Minotaur Pirate deals damage to that player equal to the power.
The total power that was destroyed. So destroy all creatures and deal that much damage, all that power, to the target player. It's pretty much...
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know why they write such long sentences instead of like, you win the game. Because that's pretty much what it amounts to.
Not exactly.
Well, chances are
if you have a lot of lands in Angrath's Theory, then quickly you get Angrath with Angrath's Theory. Then you bring it back. Then the opponent doesn't have very many then you're like because you finally have 11 tokens, you gotta hold on to them.
That is, you're saying that...
Also, Vraska's card actually does say you lose.
Exactly. You're saying that basically when you use that one, it may be that the opponent doesn't have any creatures. I guess you're right. That is a possibility. So these are the top...
Also, the best thing is if they have a lot of really strong characters and that kind of stuff, like 7 and 7.
Yeah.
There was one that when we were sorting, that was 12 and 12. That would be so much damage.
I mean, Vraska, Angrath?
No, it was just when we were sorting.
Oh, when we're sorting because we also buy these bulk lots of cards and so. Yeah, I don't remember which one it is, but I guess it was like that. By the way, here when you combine some of the effects, like a pirate that gives a bonus to the other pirates, or vampires or the vampires, you kind of get almost there. I remember there was a time that I had a +8 or something insane like that. So these are the 2 powerful mighty cards of the Angrath deck. But then also on the normal stuff, pirates and other effects, there are some that Amelia has selected as her favorite ones. In particular, the Headstrong Brute that has given me a lot of grievances. That is one painful enemy to fight. Because it's not too expensive to bring to the battlefield. Just 3 mana, 1 mountain and 2 other ones.
No, it's 1 mountain and 2 other ones.
That is true. That's what I said.
Headstrong Brute can't block.
You think that's okay? That's fine.
Headstrong Brute has menace as long as you control another pirate.
Yeah, menace is not always dangerous, but the fact that he can come to the battlefield early when maybe I don't have anybody to block or one person that can block, that is the painful thing. Is the combination of menace and low cost that makes him painful.
But if you don't have another pirate, and you play him because you really need something to attack, then he doesn't have menace. He's only a normal 3-on-3.
Yeah, that's why if I have some game effects that can attack one of yours, and you have the brute and another one, I may just destroy the other one if that means that then the Headstrong Brute is alone and cannot use that effect yet.
No, just kill the Headstrong Brute because then you don't know if I have another pirate.
Yeah, but suppose I have an effect that only damages, gets a little bit of damage, then it's still good to damage or to destroy somebody smaller just to deny that effect. But in general, if I can, yes, I'm gonna take down that dude because he is annoying, so annoying. I mean, the damage doesn't seem too bad. It's like 3 and 3, but I know that because very often this guy came out early, I got a lot of bruises from the Headstrong Brute Orc Pirate. Then we have the Stormfleet Pyromancer, which has a raid ability. The raid abilities are very common in this deck, and it's so actually, I mean, I learned how to use them. I just want to explain the idea that these abilities take effect if you play the card after someone else already attacked in your turn, some other creature. So you do your things, you attack, and then you play that card, and the ability triggers if you already attacked with another target creature. So I may learn something about sequential strategy.
When Pyromancer enters the battlefield.
Pyromancer, yeah.
Pyromancer enters the battlefield. If you attacked with a creature this turn, it doesn't mean that you attacked and you died. It means that you totally attacked, so you at least attacked.
Yeah, maybe you didn't do anything, but you just attacked.
Stormfleet Pyromancer deals 2 damage to a target creature or player.
And again, this can be any target creature, so again, it's important to take down flyers that Vraska may have sent out, to go past defenses, so it's a good card. It's a good card. It's fairly common. I think probably when we start tweaking your deck, we're gonna add a bunch of those. Next, another one, the Phantom Fleet. I'll just show you the Phantom Fleet Cutthroat. Can I just explain it quickly?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna talk about that one. Basically, you can destroy a target creature that an opponent controls.
If they were dealt damage to this turn.
So basically, the final push. If you attack 1-on-1 versus Erika, is a 6 and 6, and you give it attacking with a 1-on-1, then this one is enough to destroy a huge creature as long as it took even just a little bit of damage. But then this one is super powerful, super very useful. The Vanquisher's Banner, it's an artifact, and
it only takes 5 of any type to get it in. The Vanquisher's Banner, as the Vanquisher Banner enters the battle, choose a creature type, which is just Angrath Pirate.
Because Angrath has almost everybody in his deck is a pirate.
Creatures you control of that chosen type get 1/1, whenever you cast.
So +1 and +1, which is good enough. Plus
a creature spell of chosen type. Draw a card.
So that is powerful. You can just, just a little higher so that they don't see you. This is super powerful. Every pirate +1/+1, and every time she brings a pirate to the battlefield, she draws a card. And it's really, again, 5 of any kind. You cannot bring it maybe the first turn, but you don't have to wait for too long. So this is a really powerful card. In general, what do you think about, how do you like Angrath? I think you played a lot with this deck, even more than you played with Jace or Watley. So how much you like it? And what do you like in it?
I think.
Also get distracted by the dog.
I'm closing his mouth.
Yeah.
As a Velcro.
So what do you think about Angrath and the deck?
I think that the images are kind of cool.
That is true. That is really cool art. But as for gameplay, how it plays, how fun it is, what do you like about it?
I like that it's strong against Vraska. They have to make very, very many changes to make it just beat me once.
True. We played with Vraska. I wanted to see how the decks were, like as they were, without tweaking or touching or changing anything. And Vraska
Of course you touched it to play it.
Fine. Without altering anything in the composition of the decks. And Vraska lost 4 games out of 4, and I was like, that's
4
weird.
in a row.
Yeah, we played 4, and all those 4 Vraska got smashed. And I was wondering, maybe I don't know if you're playing something wrong, we don't understand what Vraska is about. So I don't know if they're not balanced or Vraska is balanced, but it's less intuitive. So in any case, we couldn't figure out how to make it work. I was playing Vraska and I just get destroyed by Amelia playing Angrath. Then I started changing things around and I was still getting destroyed. I had to really, I wouldn't say almost remake it, but I had to make a lot of changes. I kept the general idea that Vraska is the leader of an army of vampires, because in any case I wanted to make a deck which was like white and black energy and was mainly vampires. But I changed a lot of vampires, I had to create chaining effects, I had to add a number of flyers to get past these brutes and these people that kept coming out of the graveyard if Angrath is around. I had to add creatures with life links. The original vampires were just not all that strong. There were a lot of situational effects that would not always trigger. So Vraska, now it's a great deck and I think there is potential, but as I played it I found it particularly hard to use effectively. Not hard to use in general, the effects were not particularly complex, they weren't complicated. They just weren't doing much. They weren't achieving much. Can you stop this dog that is doing these weird things is distracting me. So I like Vraska a lot now more than before. It seems to me that Vraska you will need to do a little bit of work to make it competitive. Angrath, you can give Angrath to a 7-year-old, and at least in our experience, Angrath can win against Vraska repeatedly. In general, I haven't played with Angrath, I believe, but after fighting
once, and I played once with Vraska.
No, I think you're right. I think, yeah, I seem to remember I enjoyed it, but in general, I fought against him a lot of times, and I think I kind of like get a sense of what he can do. And this is a really fun deck. Again, it's very intuitive.
Hey.
Okay, Amelia, we need to go because this dog is like driving me crazy and distracting me too much.
No.
So, do you like Angrath? Would you recommend it to our viewers? Can you put on the
yes.
Just tell our viewers what you think about
Yes, it's a very good deck. Against Vraska, you're pulling my hair.
Excellent.
You're pulling my dog head.
Vraska and Angrath, two fun decks. One of them less intuitive than the other. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.